fresh vow to save democracy faces an immediate test at home and abroad this week, with a long-shot voting rights push and the most critical U.S. diplomacy with Russia since the Cold War. With his forceful speech on the anniversary of the January 6 insurrection last week, Biden appeared to engineer a political pivot, putting his credibility on the line to pass new laws rolling back Republican state voter suppression bills and restoring minority voting rights. He will travel to Atlanta, a city synonymous with the civil rights movement, on Tuesday, to try to dislodge the dagger he suggested ex-President Donald Trump and his Republican Party are holding at the throat of our democracy. But to be successful, Biden must find a way to overcome the roadblock that has so far also derailed his social spending and climate agenda. Opposition to amending Senate filibuster rules among moderate Democrats including Sens. Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Biden's administration is also locked in consequential work overseas, with a flurry of talks with Russia amid U.S. warnings that President Vladimir Putin may be poised to invade a young democracy, Ukraine. The Kremlin is using its former satellite state as a pawn in a gambit aimed at driving NATO out of Eastern European democracies that were once within its Cold War orbit. U.S. efforts to convince Russia to stand down will have huge implications for the geopolitical situation in Europe. And Biden's tussle for influence with Putin is all the more ironic since the Russian leader is not only threatening democracy across the Atlantic. He is accused by U.S. intelligence of interfering in U.S. elections to help Trump, the ex-president who eventually sought to deny the will of voters in 2020 by attempting a coup and who often genuflected toward the Russian leader. The talks in Europe, and Biden's capacity to unlock the voting rights puzzle in Washington, will be a marker of his presidential clout as he tries to bounce back after a rough political patch. The stakes of the Voting Rights Initiative is huge, testing Democrats' ability to protect access to the franchise, especially for minority voters, which is under threat from GOP-led legislatures inspired by Trump's lies. And the two-front administration push will go a long way toward deciding the outcome in the U.S. and internationally of a presidency Biden has dedicated to safeguarding the global democracy that he says is under mortal threat.